All right, welcome back to the second video. So we have already talked about expressions and also using formulas, which are just a different way to apply our knowledge of expressions. And hopefully this was helpful for you to then also work on any of the expressions on the next slide and also the following one that dealt with the formulas. Now we're going to review some annotation skills and writing rational numbers based off of these situations. So I'm going to jump right in. It says that Diana's account was debited by $22.50. And so I'm going to begin by highlighting the key phrase or phrases. Account is important, but it doesn't tell me anything about the type of integer. So I wouldn't highlight it even if I could. Debited means that money is being taken by the bank out of your account and then given to someone, either the bank or another company. So it usually means that you used your credit card or debit card and now they're removing money from your account. And if they're removing, then that means that the symbol is negative. And so I'm going to take one of these negatives down here and bring it up so it's next to the word debited. If it's too big, you can put it next to this. And then that means that our integer is, or a rational number, it's not a whole number, so negative 22.50, because then it's no longer a rational number. It's something in a specific word problem. This should represent this problem, but it should also represent any problem where you have negative 22.5 or negative 22.50 hundredths. All right, on to part B. Annotating by highlighting the key phrase. Average temperature. Okay, temperature could be important, but there's lots of different types of temperatures. In LA during May is 23 degrees Celsius. That's like 70 something degrees in Fahrenheit. So what you're more used to. Above. So by above, they mean, since it's Celsius, above zero or above the freezing point of water, which are both the same thing for Celsius. Since it's above, I'm going to use one of these plus signs, and I'm going to move it over so it's on top of the word above. This one for sure will fit, so you don't need to put it to the side or anything, just right on top. And the integer then, in this case it is an integer, but it's also a rational number, is positive, for part B, 23. And I would get in the habit of using the plus sign or the minus sign anytime you have a positive or negative number, and reserving the number that doesn't have a sign for just zero, unless you're doing labels on a number line, in which case you don't need to have the plus sign or a positive symbol. All right, a scandium cation. So you spell this or pronounce this word like cat and then ion. So cation has 3 extra protons. Okay, so unlike yesterday, we're dealing with a cation, and cations always have more protons than they have electrons. So this particular cation, oops, sorry, this should be highlighter. Cation has extra protons. Extra is not important because you got to have extra det, and so that doesn't mean anything. Or it could be extra cold, so that doesn't tell us if it's positive or negative. Scandium, we don't know enough context for us to know if it's telling us enough information, but cation and protons both are connected to positive. Protons are positively charged parts of a molecule, and so whenever you see the word proton and you have more protons than something else, then that's positive. So for number 3, or C rather, it's plus positive 3. Okay, so there is our integer for part C. Now for part D, we have 3 different integers. So we need to find each of them and annotate them. And then we need to write each of their rational numbers. So to begin, black lightning held a criminal in the air at an elevation of 15.3 meters above sea level. Right, above sea level, that's a key phrase. So you can either underline it or you can also highlight it. And I know that that's positive, so I'm going to put the plus sign on top of that one. All right, next. Then he threw them into the water, where they went down to a depth of 5.8 meters below sea level. All right, so then I'm going to, you can use pink or blue or green, something that doesn't cover it like I did, makes it not as obvious what it is. And then we want this symbol, bring it on over here. We've already used this symbol here. Okay. Before returning to the water's surface. Okay, water's surface refers to at sea level. And so if it's at sea level, then that is 0. Okay, so this symbol goes right next to water's surface, 0. So they were at positive 15.3. Then in the story, they were thrown into the water where they sank down to a depth of 5.8 below. So that's negative 5.8. And then finally, they returned to the water's surface, which is 0. So they went all over the place in this fight against Black Lightning. Should not mess with him. All right, so hopefully you were able to do this either on your own and then check the video, or if you needed that review, hopefully this was helpful to remind you what good annotations look like, as well as what the numbers are then that are associated with that. It didn't mention anything about writing the opposites, so that's why the symbol that's in the story is the symbol that's in my numbers. All right, so this concludes our videos for this week. I look forward to seeing you next week in the lesson 4, 5, and 6 videos, and in seeing that good work that comes from looking at the directions carefully and showing your best thinking, and then using the diamonds whenever needed to check your thinking. All right, bye. Have a good rest of your week.